For y'all to look at what was said in the affidavit, it says iPad last seen or pinged at 10:21 p.m. near 6845 Anderson Street. iPhone last seen 10:4 at 10:24 near 6921 Anderson Street. And then the iWatch was last seen 10:5, 1:14 a.m. at Albury Road. Let me give y'all a visual.
It started with a phone that wouldn't stop ringing and ended with a name the internet would never forget. The story of Kada Scott isn't just another missing person case. It's a chilling puzzle filled with unanswered calls, silent streets, and a truth that refuses to stay buried. Fans are shocked. The city is shaken. And the timeline? It doesn't add up. One moment, she's walking out of her shift like any normal night. The next, she vanishes without a trace. No goodbye text. No final post. No warning. Just an empty path and a trail of questions that only seemed to grow darker by the hour. People online started noticing something strange. The blocked numbers, the desperate voicemails, the message that many claim was sent but never delivered. Emotions ran high as loved ones begged for answers and strangers turned into detectives behind their phone screens. And then came the discovery. A place no one expected. A detail no one wanted to hear. And a whisper that turned into a roar across social media. What really happened the night Kada disappeared? Who was on the other end of those final calls? And why does every answer raise even more questions? Stay with us, because this story is about to get deeper, darker, and more disturbing than anyone imagined. The night it all began, nobody knew it would turn into a headline that would shake an entire city. To most people, Kada Scott was just another hardworking young woman with big dreams and quiet strength. But to the people who truly knew her, Kada was fire wrapped in patience, the kind of person who smiled through pain and showed up even when life tried to knock her down. So when she stepped out after her shift that evening, nobody imagined it would be the last time they would see her walk into the darkness like everything was normal. At first, it was just silence. No calls. No updates. No messages. And silence can be louder than screams when someone suddenly disappears. Her family waited through the night thinking maybe her phone died, maybe she crashed at a friend's place, maybe she just wanted a little space. But when morning came, those maybes turned into fear. Fans online weren't fans yet. They were just strangers refreshing timelines, searching her name, hoping for good news. Then came the first rumor. Somebody claimed Kada had been acting strange days before she vanished. Another person said she mentioned being worried about something. Screenshots began appearing online, unverified, blurry, suspicious. Messages that allegedly showed Kada telling someone she felt uncomfortable. The internet did what it does best. It exploded. Emotions ran high. People took sides before they even knew what side they were standing on. She wouldn't just disappear. One friend told a local blogger in tears. That wasn't her. Kada was cautious. Kada was smart. But social media doesn't wait for facts. It thrives on mystery. Then something strange surfaced. A rumor that refused to die. People started talking about the calls. Not just one call. Not two. Dozens. Phone logs, real or fake, nobody could tell, started floating around Twitter and TikTok. Names blurred out. Numbers censored. But one thing stood out. Proximity. Whoever was trying to reach her wasn't random. Fans were shocked when someone claimed the calls weren't coming from strangers, but from someone Kada knew. Someone close. And that's when paranoia entered the picture. People began rewatching old photos of Kada, analyzing her captions like they were federal evidence. A smiling selfie suddenly looked forced. A casual comment from a year ago now looked ominous. The internet built a story faster than the police built a case. She tried to warn us, one account posted. Look at her eyes, she knew, another insisted. The family stayed silent, at least at first. Days turned into chaos. Candlelight vigils, posters, street corner prayers, hashtags that climbed the trending charts. Hashtag find Kada, hashtag justice for Kada. Strangers became detectives. Tiny details became giant theories. One man on TikTok swore he saw Kada arguing with someone days before she vanished. Another woman claimed she overheard a whispered phone conversation patched through a bad line, something about not wanting trouble and needing space. None of it was proven, but all of it was believed. Then something else happened. Someone posted what they claimed was the last voice note Kada ever sent. The audio was distorted, grainy, emotional. "Please, I just want this to stop," the voice said. Silence followed. Was it real? Was it fake? Or was it a piece of something bigger? Nobody knew, and that uncertainty was fatal to the nerves of everyone watching. Then came the word nobody wanted to hear. A search expansion. Law enforcement widened the scope, or at least, that's what people were saying. Helicopters in the sky became proof. Patrol cars on corners became symbols. Every flashing light became hope or horror. That's when the names surfaced. The suspect. No official announcement. No public confirmation. Just one name that kept appearing across platforms like a curse nobody wanted to speak out loud. A man Kada knew. A name tied to her past. A person some described as charming, others described as dangerous. And the internet did what it does best again. It split into two worlds. Half of the people screamed guilt. Half of the people screamed innocence. She trusted him, one friend allegedly said in leaked DMs. He would never hurt her, someone else claimed. Photos of them together began circulating, smiling, laughing, living a life that looked normal. But social media has taught us one painful truth. Smiles hide storms. And that's when the rumor changed into something darker. A location. Not her home. Not her work. Somewhere abandoned. Somewhere forgotten. A place nobody goes unless they have a reason no one wants to imagine. People online called it the grave before the grave. A plot of land nobody claimed. An empty field where shadows looked heavier than usual and the air felt colder, even through a screen. One TikToker claimed to have visited the location and said, "I swear it feels wrong here, like the ground knows something." And then the silence changed again. Because when investigators, or people pretending to be investigators, went quiet, the internet got louder. New theories. Old footage pulled from nowhere. Face analyses. Body language breakdowns. "He's lying," one creator said. "No, she's covering for him," another responded. The family broke their silence with a short, heartbreaking statement. "We just want our daughter home. No blame. No names. Just pain." And sometimes, pain speaks louder than accusations. Meanwhile, alleged text messages between Kada and an unnamed contact began leaking. Everyone fought over their authenticity. Some claimed they were edited. Others swore they were real. "You promised I'd be safe. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. I just want my life back." Fans were rattled. Because if the messages were fake, they were cruel. And if they were real, they were terrifying. As days passed, followers started noticing something else. The suspect, the name no one wanted to say out loud, stopped posting. No new upload. No comment. No denial. No statement. Silence. And silence is a language all its own. One fan posted, "If you're innocent, why disappear too?" Another replied, "Maybe he's scared just like she was." Night after night, streams popped up with countless creators replaying the same photos, the same footage, the same frames. A blink slowed down. A glance zoomed in. Everyone wanted a clue. Everyone wanted a villain. Everyone wanted closure. But no one got it. Then, out of nowhere, a rumor emerged that shattered the internet in half. A body. Not confirmed. Not identified. Not official. Just one sentence posted by an anonymous account. They found something. And that sentence alone created a storm. People refreshed the feeds like their hearts depended on it. Some prayed it was false. Others felt dread crawling up their spine. News pages teased updates they didn't have yet. Bloggers whispered like prophets of disaster. TikTok influencers cried on camera without information. Only fear. Was it Kada? Was it someone else? Was it nothing? Nobody knew. But one thing was clear. The mystery was no longer just about where she went. It was about how close she came to the truth. And who else came closer? Because when silence breaks, it doesn't whisper, it screams. And as the internet waited for the confirmation that no one wanted to hear, something else became terrifyingly obvious. This wasn't just a disappearance. The silence didn't last long, because the moment one whisper escaped into the digital world, the internet turned it into a roar. Pages that had never mentioned Kada's name before suddenly pretended they had been following the case from day one. Emergency, breaking, banners flashed on screens without a single official word behind them. People went to sleep holding their phones, waking up every hour to refresh their feeds. Fear was no longer just a feeling, it was a soundtrack playing behind every post, every comment, every notification. Then came the stories about the search teams. Some accounts claimed volunteers were combing through wooded areas with flashlights and metal rods. Others said drones were flying so low, you could hear their wings buzzing like mechanical insects. A few people swore they saw unmarked cars parked in places nobody usually parked. And in a city where people mind their business, suddenly everyone started watching everyone. In the middle of all that chaos, a video surfaced that changed the temperature online instantly. Not from officials, not from news, from a shaky handheld phone that showed flashing lights in the distance near an old empty lot. You couldn't see much, only blue and red reflections bouncing off trees. But people didn't need clarity, they needed confirmation. And to them, that video felt like it. "She's there," one comment said. "They found her," another cried. "I can't breathe," someone typed. But there was no name yet. Just shadows. Just fear. Just noise. At the same time, another wave crashed over social media. The voice of the so-called suspect. Or, rather, the lack of it. People noticed that his accounts went private. Old pictures disappeared. The digital footprint of a life began to erase itself in real time.
Some saw it as panic.
Others saw it as calculated silence. When someone scrubs themselves from the internet, that's not normal, one influencer said on a live stream that reached thousands. That's hiding. But another voice fired back. Or that's fear. You think you wouldn't lock everything if the whole world suddenly decided you were the villain. And that's when the family drama entered the storm. A woman claiming to be related to the suspect posted a video filled with tears, shaking hands, and uncontrolled emotion. She didn't give names. She didn't make direct claims. But she kept repeating one sentence over and over again like a prayer and a warning at the same time. He is not what you think, and neither is the story. That one video lit gasoline across the internet. People demanded that she explain. People accused her of protecting him.
People begged her to speak.
But she vanished as quickly as she appeared, which only made everything worse. Then another twist rolled in like a dark cloud. Someone leaked what they claimed was a conversation between Kada and a close friend only hours before her disappearance. In it, Kada reportedly mentioned feeling watched. Not in a dramatic way, in a tired way. "I can't deal with this energy anymore. I feel like I'm being followed, even when I'm alone. I just want my silence back." Real or fake, those messages hit a nerve, because too many people had felt that feeling. When your peace slowly gets stolen. When the air around you feels heavy. When every notification feels like a warning. The fans, they weren't just shocked anymore. They were angry. Then came the rumor that fractured the internet. The grave story. An anonymous post claimed that something had been uncovered in a forgotten part of the city. Not a body. Not proof. Just a disturbance in the ground. People imagined the worst immediately. Comments exploded. TikTok filled with eerie music and dark filters pointing towards maps and coordinates that no one could verify. When the ground tells a story, it's never a happy one. One creator said in a trembling voice. Every empty lot in the city suddenly became suspicious. Every patch of dirt felt haunted. And then, unexpectedly, the suspect's name started moving differently online. It wasn't just trending anymore. It was dividing. Half of people dragged him through digital fire. Half claimed he was being sacrificed to public rage. Someone from his past came forward, not with accusations, but with doubt. "This doesn't feel right," he said in a live session. "The person y'all are describing, that's not the guy I knew." Others responded brutally. "You never know someone until they show you." A comment shot back. "Silence is louder than denial," another added. But the biggest shock came not from the internet. It came from the family. Late one night, Kada's mother appeared on camera. No filters, no script, no producers. Just a mother's eyes swollen from crying. "My daughter didn't just vanish," she said with her voice shaking. "She was taken by something. Whether that was a person, a lie, or a system that failed her too early."
She didn't say who. She didn't say how.
She didn't say when. But that pain, it sounded real. The family was left divided not by truth, but by uncertainty. Every new detail tore another thread in people's emotions. Every rumor reopened wounds that had not even begun to heal. Then came another viral moment. A man on a live stream claimed he had seen Kada the night she disappeared. Not clearly, not directly, but enough to make people lean closer to their screens. "She looked scared," he said. Not dramatic scared, quiet scared. Like she didn't want to be seen. Viewers held their breath as he continued. And she wasn't alone. The comments flew so fast they looked like falling rain. Who was with her? Where were they going? Why didn't he help? But then came the collapse. It was revealed that the man had contradicted himself in another video months ago about a different story. The internet turned on him instantly.
First they believed.
Then they devoured. Another witness burned by digital fire. And still, no answers. Just smoke. Around the same time, leaked audio allegedly recorded by a neighbor began circulating. In it, a female voice cried out briefly before the recording cut off. The clip was short,
shaky,
unclear. Some called it fake. Some called it proof. All called it disturbing. Because if it was real, then someone had heard something.
And did nothing.
The rage of helplessness exploded again. People demanded justice from systems they couldn't see. From faces that never appeared. From silence that never broke. Then the internet did something that shocked even seasoned viewers. They started connecting dots. A photo from months ago. A check-in from a random night. A comment under an old post. Everything became evidence. Everything became motive. Everything became a potential ending. The suspect was seen in a past photo standing beside Kada at an event. Smiling. Laughing. Looking harmless. "He doesn't look like a monster," one user wrote. Another responded, "They never do." But then something finally snapped the volume down for just a moment. A quiet statement from authorities. Not confirming. Not denying. Just one line. "We are actively pursuing leads related to this case." That line alone created more theories than truth. Some took it as breakthrough. Some saw delay. Some saw collapse. And yet, still no name.
Still no body.
Still no closure. Only questions. And a city that didn't feel safe anymore. As the nights passed, one thought began haunting everyone the same way. If Kada was still alive, where was she? And if she wasn't, why were they still afraid to say it? Because sometimes, hope is not just fragile, it's dangerous. It keeps your heart awake when it should rest. The story seemed endless, but it wasn't. Because somewhere, in a place nobody wanted to think about, the truth was waiting. And the truth never stays buried forever. The shift didn't happen loudly. There was no announcement, no siren, no notification ping that told the world the story was about to change. It happened quietly first, the way disasters always do. A single post appeared from a reporter that people had never heard of, claiming the search had entered a new phase. Just those words. Nothing more. But the internet knows when something has shifted. People could feel it in the air the same way you feel a storm before a single drop falls. Within minutes, creators went live. Some whispered, others shouted. Everyone had copies of the same sentence, pasted into captions with different emojis and different prayers. One live stream showed a group of people standing behind police tape, their faces glowing blue from their phones. Another showed flashlights sweeping across trees like something out of a horror movie. Nobody knew what they were looking at anymore. They only knew what they were afraid to find. Then the family vanished from public view. No more statements. No more interviews. No more updates. For a brief moment, the noise slowed. And when noise slows, something is always about to speak. A rumor, heavier than any before, crept across platforms like shadow through fog. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't emotional. It was just one sentence that hit like ice water. They found her. No source. No confirmation. Just 3 words. People refused to believe it. They screamed for proof, for footage, for officials to say something. But the silence that followed felt different this time. It wasn't empty. It was heavy. Then came the photo. It wasn't graphic. It wasn't even clear. Just tape. Trees. Dirt. A small corner of a scene that didn't want to be seen. And with that image, millions of hearts sank in the exact same way all at once. Nobody reposted it. Nobody needed to. Everyone felt it. That's when the suspect's world caught fire. Not literally digitally. Every page linked to him was flooded with messages that ranged from anger to despair to desperate guessing.
People hunted his past.
His friends. His family. His digital history like wolves in a forest of data. He did it. He couldn't have. Why won't he talk? Where did he go? No answers. Only havoc. Then his family finally responded. Not with facts. Not with defense. But with emotion. In a blurry video that looked like it had been filmed in fear, a woman claimed she had begged him to speak. That she had begged him to go live. That she had begged him to clear his name. Her voice broke when she said one thing that ripped through the screen like broken glass. I don't know who he is anymore. That sentence split the internet in 2. On one side, people said, even his own blood doesn't recognize him. On the other, people said, that's what happens when the world turns you into a monster overnight. Then something darker surfaced. A creator who had gained attention from covering the case suddenly posted a video claiming he had been contacted by someone close to the truth. He didn't give a name. He didn't show a face. He didn't play audio. All he said was this. This wasn't simple. This wasn't fast. This wasn't accidental. And then he went silent. No follow-up. No clarification. No explanation. Which, of course, made it worse. Fans were no longer just shocked. They were exhausted. Sleep disappeared. Appetite vanished. Peace evaporated. People had invested hearts into a story that refused to end. Theories evolved from chaotic to surgical. People stopped asking what happened and started asking something colder. Who covered it? And that's when attention turned again, not to a person, but to a system. People began questioning response times. Timelines. Press statements that said nothing in too many words. Influencers started comparing police behavior in past cases. Old cases resurfaced. Forgotten names came back into the light. And suddenly, Kada wasn't alone anymore. She became a symbol of fear, of silence, of voices that disappear before they're ever heard. Then another shockwave hit. A clip appeared showing Kada laughing in an old video from weeks before. No sadness, no fear, just happiness. The contrast between who she was and what she became in the narrative tore through people's chest. How does someone go from that to this? One fan wrote. Nobody answered. Because nobody could. At the same time, the suspect disappeared completely. No court photos. No footprints. No statements. Vanished like smoke. And when someone disappears in a story where someone else already did, the mind starts writing endings that don't exist yet. One blog claimed he fled. Another said he was being kept silent. Someone else posted that he was about to speak. No one proved anything. Then, unexpectedly, something shifted again. The family returned. Not screaming, not crying, but quiet. In one written message posted late at night, Kada's family said they were grateful to those who kept her name alive. They asked for privacy. They asked for prayer. And then they wrote one line that broke thousands of people. She mattered before this, and she matters after it. Fans didn't comment. They didn't argue. They didn't demand. They just watched. Because sometimes the loudest truth is grief. The story stopped being about who did what and started being about who lost what.
A daughter.
A sister. A friend. A human being who became a hashtag before she became a memory. And in the quiet that followed, people finally asked the right question. Not who was guilty, not who failed, not who should pay. But how did we let her become a story before she became safe? And that question still has no answer. Because some stories don't end with justice. They end with emptiness. And sometimes, emptiness is louder than every accusation combined. If you're still watching right now, it's not because this story entertained you. It's because it disturbed you. It stayed with you. It followed you into your silence the same way Kada's story followed an entire city into the unknown. And that's the part nobody can ignore. Because this was never just about one night, or one location, or even one name. This was about how quickly real lives become digital stories and how slowly truth finds its way out once fear takes over. You've seen the rumors. You've felt the tension. You've lived the uncertainty through your screen.